Under TP Act, which of the following mortgage with value of rupees 100 or above is not compulsory registrable? Mortgage by deposit of title deed. Section 58 of Transfer of Property Act defines mortgager, mortgagee, mortgage money. Under which one of the following section of the Transfer of Property Act English mortgage has been defined? Section 58E. The mortgage in which, without delivering possession of the mortgaged property, the mortgager binds himself personally to pay the mortgage money is known as simple mortgage. The mortgage which involves absolute transfer of mortgage property with provision for retransferring is English mortgage. Where mortgagee is entitled to enjoy the benefit of mortgaged property in lieu of interest on the debt, the mortgage is called usufructory mortgage. A right to redemption arises in the case of mortgage in which one of the following kind of mortgage is not included in Section 58 of Transfer of Property Act 1882. Simple English mortgage. A mortgage which is not simple mortgage, a mortgage by conditional sale and usufructory mortgage, an English mortgage, or a mortgage by deposit of title deed is called an anonymous mortgage. Every sale accompanied by agreement to reconveyance of the property would not constitute mortgage by conditional sale. This statement is related to which section of Transfer of Property Act? Section 58. In which one of the following mortgage the mortgager bind himself personally to pay the mortgage money? Simple mortgage. Under which one of the following section of Transfer of Property Act provisions regarding English mortgage is found? Section 58E. Where possession of mortgaged property is not delivered to the mortgagee, it is called simple mortgage. In case of usufructory mortgage, the mortgagee is placed in possession. He has a right to receive the rent and other profits till the mortgage money is paid. In the case of usufructory mortgage, the mortgage is placed in the possession and has a right to enjoy the rent profits until the debt is paid. Whether a mortgagee under simple mortgage can take possession of mortgaged property? No. Where the mortgager delivers the possession of mortgaged property to the mortgagee, authorized him to retain such possession until the payment of the mortgagee money and receive the rent of profit occurring therefore. Such a mortgage is called usufructory mortgage. In a simple mortgage, possession of mortgaged property is remain with the mortgager. Which one of the following is not essential element of mortgage as defined under Section 58A of Transfer of Property Act? There must be a promise to transfer of interest. Which one of the following mortgage does not require writing and registration? Mortgage by deposit of title deed. Dash is defined as a security for repayment of loan mortgaged. Which one of the following provision of Transfer of Property Act related to the usufructory mortgage? Section 58D. Where the mortgager bind himself to repay the mortgage money on the certain date of transfers the mortgaged property absolutely to the mortgagee, subject to the condition that the mortgagee will retransfer it and the mortgager upon payment of mortgage money. The transaction is called English mortgage. In the case of usufructuary mortgage, the mortgagee is delivered the possession and authorized the appropriate rents and profit occurring the property, which kind of specifically mention a kind of mortgage in transfer of property in 1882, Equitable Mortgage. Which one of the following is a usufructuary mortgage? None of them. Which statement is not correct about mortgaged? There is a transfer of ownership in the mortgage. In the case of usufructuary mortgage, the mortgagee is placed in the possession and the right to receive the rent and other profits till the mortgage money is paid. Section 58A of TP Act defined mortgage, mortgagor, mortgagee, mortgage money, mortgage deed. A mortgage by deposit of title deed is called equitable mortgage. Which one of the following is transfer is valid? An unregistered usufructuary mortgage for ₹99. Whether simple mortgage must always be registered? If the value of property is more than ₹100. How many type of mortgages are there in section 58 of Transfer of Property Act? 6. Handing over the possession of mortgage property is required in English mortgage. Under the Transfer of Property Act, personal obligation to pay the mortgage money occurs in simple and English mortgage. The right of redemption can be exercised by paying the mortgage money to the mortgage outside the court, depositing the amount due mortgage money in the court regular suit for redemption. From the following, who cannot sue redemption by the mortgage property? The mortgagee. Who among the following person not redeem the mortgaged property? The counsel pleading in the case against mortgagee. Right to redeem the mortgage can enforce by following: a suit for declaration that mortgage property is redeemable. The mortgagor right to redeem the mortgaged property acquires at the time after the mortgaged money has become due. In which section of Transfer of Property the doctrine of consolidation is incorporated? Section 61. The mortgagor who has executed two or more mortgages in the favor of the same mortgagee in the absence of contract to contrary be entitled to redeem any one of such mortgages separately and any two or more of such mortgages together. Which one of the following pair is correctly matched? Right of usufructuary mortgage to recover the possession, section 62. Mortgaged property in possession of mortgagee has, during continuance of mortgage, receive an accession upon the redemption in the absence of contract to contrary. Who shall be entitled to such accession? Mortgagor. In the case of mortgage lease, mortgage obtains a renewal of lease. The mortgage upon the redemption shall have benefit for new lease. Whether a mortgager can make lease of mortgaged property? Yes, with certain condition provided by Transfer of Property Act. A suit to obtain decree that mortgage or shall absolute debar the right to redemption of the mortgaged property is called a suit for dash under the Transfer of Property Act. Foreclosure. Under Transfer of Property Act 1882, redeem of foreclosure is available under which one of the following mortgages? Mortgage by condition sale. Right to foreclosure of sale has been provided in which one of the following section of Transfer of Property Act 1882? Section 67. Which is the right of mortgagee and not the right of mortgager? Right to foreclosure. A suit obtaining a decree that mortgager shall be absolutely debarred of his right to redeem the mortgaged property is called suit for foreclosure. Within the meaning of provision of Section 67 of TP Act, the mortgagee redeems by suit or foreclosure. A right to obtain a decree from court that the mortgager shall be absolutely debarred of his right to redeem the mortgaged property is called right of foreclosure. Right of foreclosure under TP Act is available in the case of mortgage by condition sale.
The mortgagee has a right to sue the mortgage money in the following case, namely Section 68 1C, where the mortgage is deprived of the whole or part of his security or by in consequences of wrongful act or default of mortgager. Section 68 1D, where the mortgagee being entitled to the possession of the mortgaged property, the mortgager failed to deliver the same to him or secure the possession thereof without disturbance by mortgager or any person claiming under the title superior to that the mortgager. Which section of Transfer of Property Act provided the provision relating to the appointment of receiver? Section 69A. Which one of the following provision of Transfer of Property Act 1882 provides the statutory duty of mortgagee in possession? Section 76. Section 81 of Transfer of Property Act 1882 contains the provision relating to marshalling of securities. Rule relating to marshalling securities is described in Transfer of Property Act 1882 under Section 81. When mortgager or such other person has tendered to deposited in court under Section 83 of Transfer of Property Act 1882, the amount remaining due the mortgage interest on the principal money shall cease from date of tender. Which of the following section of Transfer of Property Act provide for subrogation? Section 92. The term subrogation is used in the Transfer of Property Act in relation to mortgage. Which out of the following is not a kind of mortgage? Subrogation. Doctrine of subrogation applies to mortgage. Charge and exchange are transfer of property. Which one of the following section of Transfer of Property Act defines charge? Section 100. Under Section 104 of Transfer of Property, on whom the power of making rule is conferred? High Court. Transfer of property. A mortgage other than a mortgage by deposit of title deed for principal secured of ₹100 can be effected only by a registered instrument. Which one of the following transfer is valid? An unregistered usufructuary mortgage of value of ₹4,900. Which one of the following is correct? The term in a mortgage deed that land is irremediable for 95 years is clog on equity of redemption. Which one of the following is correct? A condition restraining alienation by the mortgagor is legal. Which among the following is false statement about the term clock on redemption? It can be furthered by any condition. The assignment of the right of mortgagee to the woman in consideration of past cohabitation is valid. A mortgages a certain plot of building land to B and afterward erects a house on the plot for the purpose of security. B is entitled to the house as well as the plot. Doctrine on clock of equity of redemption is a rule of justice, equity and good conscience. This was affirmed by Supreme Court in Murli Lal versus Dev Karan, in which case Supreme Court has held that the mortgage was valid even though no part of mortgage money has been advanced. State of Kerala versus Cochin Refinery, AI 1968. Once a mortgage is always a mortgage means mortgage is always remediable. The Transfer of Property Act, right and liability of mortgagee is provided under Section 67 and 277. Redemption is the heart of mortgage was observed by Lord Halsbury. Which one of the following section of TP Act provided that when there is a conflict between marshalling and contribution, marshalling shall prevail? Section 82. Which one of the following is not correctly matched under TP Act? C is not correctly matched. Which one is correctly matched? Universal Dorney 128. Doctrine of part performance 53A. Mortgagee right to foreclosure and sale 1667. Which the following case related to which one of the following subject? Gopal versus Purushottam, Stanley versus Wadley, Kedar Lal versus Hira Lal, Ali Hussain versus Nulla Kadan. Mortgage. When the mortgagor right to redeem acquires, the mortgagee has right to enforce his security. Which one of the following section deals with the assessment of mortgage property? Section 63 and Section 70 both. The principle of once a mortgage is always a mortgage, a principle based on equity, justice and good conscience, was first time evolved in case of Harris versus Harris. A transfers property to B by mortgage with the condition that for 10 years B will take the mortgage money from the income of the property and thereafter A shall redeem the property by making the payment of remaining amount. The mortgage is anonymous mortgage. The doctrine of subrogation enables third person to stand in the shoes of the creditor, where the principal money secured is ₹100 and the mortgage other than the mortgagee by deposit of title deed. What is not correct about? Must be registered instrument. What is correct? Must be signed by the mortgagor, must be attested by at least 2 witnesses, can be altered by oral agreement. Which one of the following cases is related to the right of redemption? All of them: Stanley versus White, Nokosh versus Rice, Killigrew versus New Patagonia Meat and Cold Storage Company Limited. State the correct answer and the familiar rule. Redemption of foreclosure down is a combination the provision of section 91 and 94. Which one of the following section of transfer of property deal with the doctrine of substituted security? Section 93. Which one of the following, which is the correct answer in the following? Section 60 of transfer of property is enforceable on the mortgage decree. Is the sale an agreement to repurchase the embody and separate document, then the transaction cannot be mortgage. This was laid down in Chunchun Jha versus Sheikh Ibadat Ali. Section 65 of Transfer of Property Act contains the provision to implied contracts by mortgagor. Chapter 5 Lease of Immovable Property, Section 105 to 117. Transfer of property. In lease of immovable property, what is transferred is the right to enjoy the property. Which type of property may be used for lease? Only immovable. Lease under Section 105 of Transfer of Property Act 1882 pertains to a lease of immovable property. Transfer of right to enjoy the immovable property is in consideration of price is known as lease. In the view of Section 105 of Transfer of Property Act 1882, a lease of immovable property is a transfer of a right to enjoy such property in consideration of price paid or promised of money, a share of crops, service, or any other things of value. Which one of the following group of sections deal with the lease and the transfer of property act? Section 105 to 117. A lease can be made for a certain period only, for perpetual only. A lease of immovable property can be for a limited period, in perpetuity, can be express or implied. Transfer of a right to enjoy the immovable property of a certain time is lease. Which provision of Transfer of Property Act define lease? Section 105. In which one of the following section of Transfer of Property Act an amendment was made in the year 2002? Section 106. According to the amendment of Transfer of Property Act 2002, the period within the principle of Section 106 of the Act shall commence from the date of receipt of notice. A lease of agricultural land is terminable on the point of either leaser or leasee by 6-month notice of expiring the end of the year of tenancy. In the absence of written contract, a lease of immovable property for the purpose other than the agriculture or manufacturing shall be deemed to be the lease from month to month, terminable by 15-day notice. The period shall be commenced from receipt of notice. In the absence of contract or local law or uses, a lease of immovable property for manufacturing purpose shall deem to be a lease for year to year. In the absence of contract or local law for uses to the contrary, a lease of immovable property of agricultural purpose shall be deemed to be year to year. A lease of immovable property for year to year is terminable on the part of leaser and leasee by notice 6 months. For determination of lease for year to year under Section 106 Transfer of Property Act, the notice of period is 6 months. Transfer of Property Amendment Act 2002 has been amended. Which one of the following section of Transfer of Property Act 1882? Section 106. Under Transfer of Property Act, in the absence of contract or local law, monthly lease terminable by 15-day notice expiring. In which one of the following case the Supreme Court held that once period of lease expire, the relationship of landlord and tenant ceases and tenant became the trespasser, and therefore there is no question of service of any notice under section 106 of TPA. Santi Devi versus Amal Kumar Banerjee, AIR 1981. Generally, a lease of immovable property for agricultural purpose shall be the lease for year to year. A lease of immovable property from month to month is terminable on the part of lessor or lessee by 15-day notice. During of agricultural lease, the absence of written contract or local uses under section 106 of Transfer of Property Act to be deemed to be leasee from year to year. A lease of immovable property from year to year is terminable on the part of either the lessor or lessee by 6-month notice. In the absence of contract or local uses, the lease of immovable property for manufacturing purpose shall deem to be from year to year. Termination of lease of immovable property shall be in the following manner: by written notice. A lease of immovable property from year to year is terminable on a part of either lessor or lessee by 6 months. A lease of immovable property from year to year can be made only by the registered instrument. Under the TP Act, lease from month to month can be made either by the registered instrument or by oral agreement accompanied by delivering the possession. The lease of immovable property for more than 1 year or year to year is made only by the registered instrument. A lease of immovable property for any term exceeding 1 year can be made only by registered instrument. A lease of immovable property from year to year exceeding 1 year can be made only by registered instrument. Where a lease of immovable property is made by registered instrument, such instrument shall be executed by both lessor and the lessee. In which section of Transfer of Property Act the provision relating to rights and liability of lessor and lessee provided? Section 108. In which following condition lease can be terminated: effects of time on termination of lesser interest of power on merger. Determination of lease is dealt with under Transfer of Property Act 1882 in section 111. In which one of the following case a lessee of immovable property does not determine on the service of notice to quit? A notice under section 111 of Transfer of Property Act 1882 can be waived by express or implied condition consent of the person to whom it was given. Which one of the following is not a ground of determination of lease? Death of the lessee. A lease except from lessor, a new lease of the property leased to take effect during the continuance of the existing lease. This is implied surrender to the former lease. The provision of determination of lease for the purpose of Transfer of Property Act 1882 contained in section 111. A valid lease can be determined by effects of time for forfeiture or expiration of notice period determined by such lease. A lease of immovable property does not determine on the death of the lessor. Which one of the following is a ground for the determination of lease by forfeiture? On the breach of express condition. A lessor given B a lease notice to quit the property leased. The notice expired and B remains in possession. A give B a lease of second notice to quit. Then the first notice is waived. A let a house to B for 5 years. B underlets the house to C a monthly rent of 1000. The 5 year expired, but C continues in the possession to the house and pay the rent to A. C lease is renewed from month to month. What is the effect of holding over? Lease is renewed. A let a farm to B for life. C dies out. B continue in the possession with A's consent. B's lease is renewed from year to year. In Transfer of Property Act, effect holding over lease is provided under Section 116. A let a house to B for 5 years. B underlets the house to C at a monthly rent of ₹1000. The 5 year expiry, but C continue in the possession of the house and pay rent to A. Which one of the following is correct? C's lease is renewed from month to month. A let a house to B for 5 years. B underlets the house to C at monthly rent of ₹100. 5 year expiry, but C continue the possession of the house and pay the rent to A. What is the right of C? C lease is said to be renewed from month to month. Same question. The lease of immovable property may be cancelled by written information. A lease a property can be determined. Consider the following statement regarding the distinction between license and lease. A lease is a transfer of interest in the land, whereas license does not create any interest in the land. A lease can be assigned, but license cannot be assigned. A lease cannot be revoked until the end of term, but license is subject to the exception, can be revoked. An act of influence with the property of other may be justified by the consent of that other defense falling under lease and license. Which one of the following does not constitute agricultural lease? A lease for gathering fruit from tree. Which one of the following transfer can be made orally? Surrender of lease. The provisions of Section 106 Transfer of Property Act 1882 were substituted by the Transfer of Property Act Amendment 2002, and this provision came into the force on effect from December 31, 2002. The transfer of the right to enjoyment of the property of certain time consideration of price paid or promise to be paid is called lease. In which one of the following case transfer of immovable property can be made without writing? Lease for a term of 11 months. What kind of transfer may be made orally? Surrender of lease. If the tenancy of an immovable property is monthly, then the order to terminate the lease of it, a notice of the period shall be given 15 days. Chapter 6 of Exchanges, Section 118 to 121. The person mutually transfer the ownership of one thing for ownership of other for no consideration. The transaction is called exchange. In exchange, under the provision of Transfer of Property Act, which one of the following statement is true? There is a no consideration. When two persons mutually transfer the ownership of one thing for ownership of other, neither thing or both things being money only, the transaction is called exchange. An exchange. Ram transfer a house worth ₹5 lakh to Sam in lieu of field worth ₹2 lakh and the ₹3 lakh in cash. The transfer is exchange. The provision as to exchange of money has been provided under which one of the following section of Transfer of Property Act? Section 121. Gift of tangible immovable property of value less than the rupee of 100 can be made under Transfer of Property Act by the registered instrument attested by at least 2 witnesses. Chapter 7 of Gift, Section 122 to 129. Transfer of immovable property by way of gift required registered instrument signed by or behalf of donor, attestation of at least 2 witnesses. Which of the following is not essential of gift? Passing of consideration. Which one of the following is not a condition for valid gift of immovable property? Consideration. In the case the donee dies before acceptance of gift, the said gift under Transfer of Property Act 1882 is void. Under Transfer of Property Act, if the donor dies before the acceptance of gift by donee, the gift is void. Find out the incorrect statement in the following. D is incorrect. Which one is correct? Gift is a transfer of ownership without consideration. Gift should be accepted during the lifetime of owner. The donee dies before acceptance of the gift is void. Section 122 of Transfer of Property Act 1882 deal with the which one of the following kinds of gift, namely gift inter vivos. According to Section 122, a Transfer of Property Act 1882, property include both movable and immovable property. The registration of gift of immovable property is compulsory. If the donee die before the acceptance of gift, the gift is void. If the donee die before the acceptance of gift, then the gift is void. In case of gift, if the donee die before the acceptance of gift, then the gift is void. A make a gift of house to B with whom he has passed illicit cohabitation. The transfer is valid. A make a gift to house to B with whom he has adulterous relationship with B. The transfer is void. Valid होना चाहिए इसमें. Which one of the following is correct in respect of the gift under Transfer of Property Act? If the donee die before acceptance of gift, the gift is void. Which of the following is not an essential element of gift? The transfer must be for the consideration. Read of the following proposition. Find out which one of the following is incorrect. Acceptance is not a pivotal requirement to constitute a valid gift. As per Section 122 of Transfer of Property Act, gift means transfer of a certain existing movable or immovable property made voluntary and without consideration by one person called the donor and the other called the donee and accepted by or behalf of the done. Under Transfer of Property Act, gift of future property is void. The gift of future property is void. Gift comprising of the future property is valid. Wrong. Gift comprised of both existing and future property is void as to the future property. What is not required in gift? Consideration. Which of the following statement is true with regard of Section 123 of Transfer of Property Act 1882? It is supplemented to Section 17(1)(a) of Registration Act. Gift of immovable property can be given by delivery or registration of instrument. For the purpose of making a gift of immovable property, the transfer must be effected by registered instrument signed by or on behalf of the donor or duly attested. Under the Transfer of Property Act, a gift comprising of both existing and future property is void as to extent of future property. Gift of future property can be done wrong. The chapter that deal with the gift under Transfer of Property Act 1882 does not apply to the Mohammedan gift, where the gift is made of the property which is in not existence, which is the following section of Transfer of Property Act declare void. 124. The gift of future property is void. A gift comprising of both existing and future property is void as to the future property. Gift comprising of the both future and existing property is valid for existing property and void for future property. Which one of the following gift is not governed by Transfer of Property Act 1882? Mortis causa gift. In the case of gift, if the donee die before acceptance of gift, the gift is void. The case of gift, the donee dies before the acceptance, then gift is void. A made a gift to the property of B. Before acceptance B, A dies. The gift is void. In a case of gift, if the donee dies before the acceptance of gift, the gift is void. The gift comprising of both existing and the future property is void as to the future property. A gift of two or more donee, one of whom does not accept it, void to the interest which he would have taken had he accepted. A deed of gift is executed, attested, and delivered to the donee. The donee accepted the gift. Before the registration of deed, the donee seek to revoke the gift. Advise the donee, gift is complete. Deed may not be registered later on. Deed may be registered later on. A gift of rupees 5 lakh to be reversing himself, reserving to himself with B's assent the right to take back the leasery 1 lakh. Which one of the following is correct? The gift is valid up to 4 lakh. A make a gift for 50,000 to B. A make a reserve right to B's consent to take back the pleasure of 10,000 out of 50,000. Gift is valid. A give a lakh of rupee to B, reserving to himself with B assent the right to take back the pleasure of 10,000 out of the lakh. The gift is holds good as to 90,000. A give a lakh of rupees to B, reversing to himself with B's assent the right to take back 10,000 and the pleasure of the amount. The gift is hold good as to the 90,000 but the void as to the 10,000. A gives a field to B, reserving him with B's assent the right to take back the field in case B has descendant die before A. B dies without descendant and A's lifetime. A can take back the field. Yes. A transferred a house having market value of rupees 10,000 without consideration of B, but the house under liability to pay the public charge of rupees 15,000. The transfer is ostensible gift. The provision relating to onerous gift, not ostensible gift. The provision relating to onerous gift has been provided under Transfer of Property Act 1882 under section 127. A universal donee is liable to credit the donor. The liability of the donee is to extend the value of gifted property in hand. A donee which has taken all the property of donor and also liable to discharge all the liability of donor is known as a universal donee. A universal donee gets donor's property and liability of donor in respect of all the debt due. Which one of the following section of Transfer of Property Act define universal donee? Section 128. Universal donee is personally liable for all the debt and liability existing at the time of gift. Which section of Transfer of Property Act deal with the universal donee? Section 128. Which section of TP Act preserve the rule of Mohammedan law excluding the applicability of Section 123, which mandate the gift of immovable property must be effected by registered instrument as stated therein? Section 129. A made a gift of 70,000 to B. A reserved the right with B consent and take back at pleasure of 20,000 out of 70,000. Valid but conditional to be void. Chapter 7 of Transfer of Property Act does not apply to the transfer of property under Mohammedan law. A executed a gift deed in the favor with respect to the immovable property worth Rs 90. The deed was the duty to attest but was not registered. B in a suit claimed title by virtue of the above gift deed. Is his claim is maintainable? No, the deed is not valid. Transfer of immovable property by way of gift is not compromised. Necessary element is only delivery of property. Gift defined in which one of the following section of Transfer of Property Act? Section 122. Legal incident of gift include absolute enjoyment of gift. Reason: donee cannot restrain the enjoyment of gift by any condition. Both are correct. A is a correct reason, correct explanation. R is a correct explanation of A. Chapter 8 Transfer of Actionable Claim, Section 30 to 137. Bharat Nidhi Limited versus Thakatmal AIR 1969 is related to actionable claim. Section 130. By which one of the following means transfer of actionable claim may be made? By an instrument in writing signed by transferor. Which one of the following is true statement as regarding to actionable claim? Instrument is must. Where digit provide for future decree, where decree provides for a future decree, it is not actionable claim. It was decided by which one of the following case? Jugal Kishore Sharif versus Raw Cotton Limited. Which one of the following is not actionable claim under Transfer of Property Act 1882? Right to claim declared sum. An actionable claim can be transferred by an instrument in writing signed by transferor. Transfer of actionable claim has exception under Section 130 of the Act. None of the above policy applies. Which one of the following pair is correctly matched? Mortgage debt, Section 134. Miscellaneous. Which one of the following is not an actionable claim? Beneficial interest of movable property which is in the possession of claimant. A transfer C a debt due to him. B A being then in debt to B. C sue B for the debt due to B to A. B is entitled to set of debt due to A. No, because the transferee of the actionable claim shall not take subject of all the liabilities. Actionable claim means a claim to unsecured debt, a claim to the beneficial interest in movable property not in the possession of claimant. Actionable claim means a claim to the unsecured debt, an interest in the movable property not in the possession of claimant, which the civil court recognizes as affording grounds of relief. Which is actionable claim? Claim of arrears of rent, provident fund, part of share in partnership. Which among the following claim recognized as actionable claim? Few arrears of rent. A own money to B, who transferred debt to C. B then demand the debt from A, who has not received the notice of transfer. As prescribed in section 131 of Transfer of Property Act, pays B, the payment is valid and C cannot sue A for any debt. Which one of the following is actionable claim? A claim to any debt other than debt secured by the mortgage of immovable property. Under Transfer of Property Act 1882, which one of the following property may be transferred? Actionable claim. Which one of the following is not an actionable claim? Actionable, a claim of means profit. Which one of the following is a transferable property? Actionable claim. Which one of the following is actionable claim? Share in the partnership, claim for the arrears of land. A transferee of actionable claim shall take it subject to all liability and equities and to which the transferor was subject in respect thereof at the date of transfer. The term actionable claim does not include any one of the following: a debt secured by mortgage of immovable property. Out of the following, which is the actionable claim? Provident fund. Which of the following is actionable claim? Muslim women claim for unpaid dower. Right to sue for damage is not an actionable claim. Which one is correctly matched? One is not correctly matched. Claim of Muslim wife to unpaid dower, unsecured debt, profit under sale of good contract, all are actionable claims. A owned money to B, who transferred the debt to C. B when demand the debt to A, who has not received the notice of transfer as prescribed in section 131 of TP Act, pays B, the payment is enforceable. Which one of the following is not an actionable claim under Transfer of Property Act? A copyright. Match the list one. Universal donee, gift, redemption, mortgage, purchase, sale, holding over lease. Doctrine of election, section 35. Doctrine subrogation 92. Waiver of forfeiture 116. Doctrine of holding over 112. Mashhoor Sahu versus Lal Hukum Lal, fraudulent transferred. Madison versus Alderson, part performance under section 53 of Transfer of Property Act. Ram Kuwar versus McQueen, transferred by ostensible honor. Mrs. Dhanpati versus Dev Prasad, doctrine of election. Transfer of property has no relation with air, water, light, all of this. Under the Transfer of Property Act 1882, a charge may be created by acts of the party and process of law. regarding being had to be provision made in transfer of property act. Mark which one of the following statement is not correct. None of these. Lit light pendant nehli introvert lis pendens quis facie per elum facie per se constructive notice nemo det quod non habet doctrine of election onerous gift qui senti sendri debt honors third constitutional honor colloquium. Which one of the following is not related to transfer of property act? Partition. Doctrine of folding out shall not applied during lease pendants without consideration to section 47 of registration act. The amendment of transfer of property act 1982 is effected in the year 2008, effected from 31st December 2002. In which one of the following case the Supreme Court held doctrine of clause on equity of redemption is a rule of justice, equity and good conscience? Murli Lal versus Devkarn. Amiratham Kudubaha, mere right to sue. Asad Ali versus Haider Ali, right of future maintenance. Nagarathambi versus Ramayya, transfer of unlawful purpose. Abdul Gawad versus Abdul Razak, space succession. Where immovable property of a person is by act of party made security for the payment of money to another and transaction does not amount to the mortgage, the latter person is said to have charge of property. Which one of the following can decide by the Privy Council related fraudulent transfer? Musahar Sahu versus Hakim Lal. Which one of the following statement is not correct? B is not correct. Which one is correct? A transfer of a farm to B for her life if C does not deserted her husband to C. B is entitled to farm during her lifetime. No condition has been instituted. A living person can transfer the property to himself by present future. A vested interest is not defeated by the death of transferee before obtained possession. Partition of immovable property is none of the above. Before the commencement of transfer of property act, transfer of immovable property in India is governed by principle of English law and equity. Test to decide whether something attached to the earth is regarding immovable property or not depend upon which one of the following: the degree or mode of annexure, place of annexation. The degree and mode of annexation, the object of annexation. Which one of the following law commission after the transfer of property act? First law commission. Which one of the following case decided by the Privy Council related to fraudulent transfer? Musahar Sahu versus Hakim Lal. Which one of the following do not convey the title? Registered will. Transfer of property is not applicable to sale of goods. Which one of the following is correct? An easement cannot be transferred apart from dominant heritage. Which one of the following mode is transfer of property act is not covered by the transfer of property act? Testamentary deposition. You have to identify the particular section of transfer of property act to which one of the following quotation related: where the grantor has purported to grant in his land he did not at all possess but subsequently acquired the benefit of subsequent acquisition, goes automatically to earlier grantee or to the usually expressed feeding the estoppel. None of the above. Section 43 होगा. X, an owner of the house at Aligarh, left Aligarh in year 1970. After appointing Y to take care to look after the house, Y started living in the said house with the knowledge of X. X bring the action in the year 2005 against Y for delivering the possession of house in question. Y take plea that first, suit is barred by the time. Second, he has perfected the title by adverse possession. State whether none of the plea is sustainable. A transfer rupees 500 to B to be paid to him and attaining the majority by marrying with the proviso that B dies a minor or marry without C's consent, said 500 shall go to B. B marry when rupees B marry only 17 year at the age without C consent. The said 500 shall go to D. The sale and exchange of immovable property is a concept under Transfer of Property Act. Which one of the following is not recognized mode of Transfer of Property Act under Transfer of Property Act will amongst the following which is subject to the transfer of property, sale, lease, mortgage? The property word defined in the section Transfer of Property Act, none of these. Which section was amended by Transfer of Property Amendment Act 2002? Section 106.